the world has become increasingly connected via the internet. This last year saw the tools we use to connect proliferate and improve out of necessity. While face-to-face collaboration is still the preference for many, tools such as Discord, Zoom, and Hangouts have allowed creators to come together from across countries and continents. And then it says, learn about how creators have leveraged these tools to find community and collaboration online. All right, so I am David Afsharirad. I'm going to be the moderator. So I actually was asked to moderate this. So I am not one who has done a lot of collaboration in my writing, well, in my fiction writing, online or in person, but I do work for Bain Books remotely. They're in North Carolina. I'm here in Texas. So I do have experience with like sales copy and ad copy, doing that kind of collaboratively back and forth online. So I'm not a total noob with this stuff, but hopefully the panel will have even more to talk about. So let's have everyone introduce themselves if they would, and give your kind of standard introduction to yourself, but also maybe talk about, just give a little teaser of some of the things that you feel qualifies you for being on this panel, what you've done as far as online collaboration has been. Okay.
Hello, my name is Shannon Babb. I get to be a full-time nonfiction writer. I write curriculum for Central Utah Water Conservancy District, and I write historical and disability fiction. Now, online collaboration has been critical in the disability space, basically since the internet was invented. It started in chat rooms and has gone up from there. But since the pandemic hit, I found a new tool that I absolutely adore, which is collaboration using VR.
My name is Heike. I'm a German middle grade fantasy writer and translator. And since I'm located in Europe, in Germany, online is really the best way to have a writing community in this sense. And with COVID and everything shifting online, my work life has also shifted online. So it's been working from home for 9 months, which does help, get to know the tools, get to know a little bit of the work in online, collaborating online process.
My name is Brennen Hankins. I'm a mostly fantasy writer. I so far participated in 2 anthologies. One of them is the Space Force Building Legacy. It was a anthology commemorating the creation of the Space Force. I also just got done with a political thriller anthology this November. All of those we collaborated over Facebook Messenger, which was kind of a new experience. On top of that, I also moderate a collaborative fan group on through our own Facebook page. So yeah, that's kind of my experience. I've been doing it for about 4 years, and mostly Discord and Facebook has been the tools I've been using. So,
all right. I wanted to talk a little bit about these specific tools, maybe a little bit later. Kind of talk more broadly at first, maybe. And I wonder, has anyone collaborated online and offline? In, I don't know what the term real world meet space or whatever we want to call it, with the same authors or even on the same project. And I wonder if you could talk about that. If no one has, then we will just move on. So.
I've done it a lot. We actually were halfway through a project last March. So we were doing the first edits in February, and then March happened, and we had to transition and finish out the project completely online. And while there were some hiccups, we actually found it went smoother when we were online because we had to treat every moment we had on that virtual connection with the amount of precision that we didn't when we were in person. It was a lot easier to get sidetracked and have conversations about each other's cats or decide that we needed to have a break and go to lunch. You can't do that when you're collaborating online.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Sorry. No, Regarding the fan group project that we've been running, part of a group of writers, we collaborate mostly via Facebook Messenger. We'll plan out stories, hash out, and they're like, okay, who's writing this section? Most of the collaboration takes place online. However, I travel a lot, and a lot of these people I've met in person, and inevitably we always end up talking story whenever I'm passing through. But it's a lot easier to stay on point online rather than in person, because we always end up talking about something else, someone's kids, drive down, that sort of thing. So
I've also collaborated, or I know the people I collaborate with. I don't know if that's what you were getting at, Dave, a little bit. And
No, yeah.
one of the things I've found is that I find it easier to work with people who I have met in person sometimes, or, who I have had, like Shannon said, you had a working relationship with them before you went online, or you knew them before you go online. I don't know how to describe. I'm trying to find the words, but it's some things are easier to do because you know them a little better, or you don't only know their, I don't want to say online persona, but what you see during these, like Shannon said, very specific and very focused online gatherings that you have. So that's some things are easier to discuss when you know the person on the other side of the screen, is what I'm saying, I think.
Yeah, and Brennen and Shannon as well. I'm just curious if, I know you've said, you've met a lot of these people. And Shannon, obviously your work is maybe a little bit of a different situation, but do you find you're collaborating with people that you've met through the internet? Or is it something that starts out in, I don't know what term we want to use, the real world, and moves there? And what are those relationships like? Do you find what Heike said to be true, that you find it easier to collaborate with someone that you've met face to face? There we go, face to face. That's the term I'll use.
It depends. In the disability community, we oftentimes maintain distance between our in-person persona, our real-life persona, and our online persona, because it's one of the reasons why I do not share my disability fiction pen name, because there is enough issues with discrimination against disabilities that in order for us to speak freely, we have to have that level of separation. And it's very rare for us to share those aspects of ourselves, even with someone that we've collaborated online with for years and in sometimes decades. We build a different type of trust in that setting, and it's very freeing to have that level of separation in that context.
So is it kind of
hear,
sorry, is it kind of a safe space where you can share things of yourself that you may not share with people you know in everyday life, or people you collaborate with in everyday life?
Yeah, it's your avatar. And your avatar allows you to explore aspects of yourself that you can't in other settings. It's one of the values of using places like Archive Online and fanfiction.net to start exploring parts of you as an author and building a community that you're never going to tap into that community when you're actually trying to publish, but you get feedback in a way that you can't from having your best friend beta your work.
That's really interesting to hear. I think, my thought would be more kind of what Heike had originally said about, being more comfortable with people that their real self, outside, but that in a way having it partitioned off is freeing and maybe makes you more comfortable. And I think that's an interesting concept, and something that maybe, do you feel, Shannon, like that's something that could even exist? I guess we all have personas even in person, but is that something that is sort of native to the online experience that maybe is it something that we can't port over to face-to-face collaboration? I wonder what your thoughts on that, or anyone's thoughts on that are.
So, go ahead, Heike. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, you guys go.
Okay, sorry. So I've actually got a little bit of experience in that because when I started working with the Misfits, our collaborative fan group, I did not know anybody. Um, in fact, I was actually on the complete other side of the world when that happened. I was deployed to the Middle East. When I stumbled upon the group, and I'm like, "Hey, this would be something fun to do while I'm cooling my heels in 113-degree weather." The I did when I joined that group, I didn't know a single person. Um, that is when I first joined the group. I kind of monitored the room, got a feel for the room, and then kind of started contributing a little bit. They liked what I was doing. They're like, "Hey, we would like to invite you to join the moderator group. You know, the main collaborative team." And over time, I've gotten to know most of these people in person. I think out of 7 people, I've met all but 2. Um, and I actually ended up meeting my wife in that group, which is kind of funny. I actually proposed to her at last year's LTUE event. So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
So you are saying online relationships can transition to face-to-face relationships in a
Yeah.
very concrete way.
Yes. And it's happened with me before in other online forums. I used to be a big part of Smack Jeeves, which was a webcomic authors site. You know, they just host sites and everything. There was a big authors forum on that website before it shut down last year. A lot of those people I've met in person, still talk to this day. Part of what made that possible is I travel a lot for my job. So, you know, whenever I'm rolling through somewhere, I'm like, "Hey, anyone in this area? Want to meet it for lunch?" That kind of thing.
But Brennen, what you're saying, your community is kind of the opposite of what Shannon was saying about hers, right? Because Shannon, I assume in your community, the point is not to meet, maybe, and just to be there online. And Brennen, you said this is kind of something that's like a feature or expected or a bonus of the group, that you can actually meet those people and get to know them face to face.
Yeah, we don't like it. It wasn't like we set out to meet in person. It just worked out that way.
Okay.
But we got comfortable enough with each other online over the course of time. They were like, "Yeah, that guy's all right. I feel comfortable meeting with him for lunch." You know, versus "Oh no, this person's entirely crazy. They're gonna stab me in an alley behind a 7-Eleven."
I guess, and then we maybe move on to something else. I guess my question, and maybe I did lose my question. What was my thought? I lost my thought.
Sorry, David.
Oh no, that's fine. I think that was interesting stuff. I guess it was more. Is there a way that keeping what Shannon was saying, that, you know, is there a way to kind of have that separate entity of an avatar, but face to face, or is online more a better place for that? It seems to me what Shannon was saying is that having that avatar, that anonymity, can be a very freeing thing. That maybe crossing over into, I guess it's sort of keeping your work and personal life separate in a way, you know. I think so. To me, when I think about online collaboration, the way my limited experience with it, I sort of think there's like 2 categories of like a time shifted element and then sort of a real time element. You know, we're doing real time here.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also things, you know, where you can just email back and forth or what have you. And I wonder if you guys could talk to how you've incorporated both elements, or if there's certain projects that or elements of a project that work better in one dynamic or the other. what those would be. And, if somebody is listening to this, hopefully, and by the way, I want to tell the people listening, I think we are going to do some Q&A at the end. So if you have questions that you're thinking of, write them down or remember them. People who are listening in thinking how they maybe want to do a collaborative project, what aspects would you say you should be thinking of? You guys really need to get on a video call, or you guys really need to get into some form of a Facebook Messenger, or this works better with Google Docs, just sharing it. Just thoughts on that kind of thing. And what tools, if you want to go into those specifically for these different elements.
Initial brainstorming. That's when you get on a video call. You need to talk that through with someone. You can have a previous list that you've created, but when you're setting the bones of your world, have the conversation. It goes so much faster than trying to do it through Slack or do it through any of these text. Unless text is, unless you have a major time zone issue, or you have a communication issue like a language barrier, then text can save your bacon.
That's mostly what I've done is through text. We have a back channel for our Facebook group where all the moderators are in. And that's because at the time I was, like I said, I was in the Middle East when I first joined this group. We had 2 guys in Georgia, so on Eastern. We had one guy on Central. We had 2 guys on Mountain Standard, and then 1 on Pacific time. So it was just much easier to just communicate through the chat, and hey, if they don't get back right away, because we all got real world jobs, we have to see to that first. But when they see our message, they'll get to it when they can. So, if face-to-face is probably preferred, you can talk a lot quicker. It's a lot quicker than typing out. But if you have those time zone issues, those constraints, text is also a really good alternative, or even email if you have to. Although that's going to be your slowest route.
Well, I guess it depends. Thank you. I guess it depends what you're looking for, right? I mean, if you're collaborating with someone, you're going to have to figure out a way to talk to them directly in one form or another, whether it's through Messenger or email or a video call or whatever. But if you're just looking for community, as in there are other people out there who have the same issues that I do, who are working on the same thing. So in the writer sense, the National Novel Writing Month forums, for example, are a great way, even if you don't participate, just to, sometimes people post stuff and you just know there are other people working on the same thing, right? Like it doesn't always have to be, it depends on what you need in the moment. It doesn't always have to be collaborative, but that's one of the things. And, if there's a thread on, I don't know, plotting issues, for example, or character issues, right? I don't have to read that right away because, it may be just as useful for me a month afterwards or 6 months afterwards. And it may still give me that sense of community, even though it's not immediacy in the communication.
As well, it's you have it written down. If you're typing, you have it written down, it's planned out. We've already settled this. Like when we do stories in my group, we do them. We'll do chunks at a time. We're like, okay, who's got the next section? So I got one section. Brad has the next one. Emma has another one. We have it in order, and we go over kind of like a general plan of where we want the story to go. And once we get that nailed down, then we're like, okay, it makes it a lot easier to write. There's no disagreements. And of course, when we do get whenever we do get our segments up, we'll share them for the group to review and like, okay, this works with what the rest of us are doing, or no, this, and this need to change. So having a written record of anything that's said, whether, through IM or, just somebody writing down when you're talking via FaceTime, helps immensely.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, Shannon was saying, obviously, for her during that brainstorming session, I think it makes sense to me that doing it live is maybe preferable. But you're saying, you always want to have, it's always good to have a paper trail too, and somebody taking notes and maybe, sending them by passenger pigeon, whatever we want to use. I feel like we've kind of talked about this a little bit. I think the benefit, again, this was something Shannon had said really early on, of we doing things online, is that you can kind of get down to business, and that we've got precious time, or you can do it, if we're talking about these time shifted tools, when you have time. If somebody gets back, they can respond to the email or the Facebook message when they can. I think there's definitely some bonuses. I do want to sort of talk about the dark side of online collaboration. Not really the dark side, but is there something, if there is something about online collaboration that is maybe more of a hurdle to get over than, and maybe some solutions or ways you've used to get over those things that are maybe more built into the difficulties of doing this online? And maybe, I don't know, Shannon, you can tell me, maybe that VR is part of that, or maybe not. And I definitely want to hear about that before we run out of time.
I want to bring up the concept of safety, especially with younger and beginner writers. You need to be careful about which forum you decide to put your trust in, and you need to be careful about what information you put out. So you need to consider your safety, because you don't know who is on the other side. Even on platforms where people try to seem like someone, you do not know what's behind that avatar, and take that at face value.
Mm-hmm.
He raises a good point. Like, I've been pretty lucky in my online journey that I haven't ran into some really bad characters online. I've met mostly good people. However, there are people that you can run into that also, you might end up locked in a basement. It puts the lotion on the skin type deal. You never know. Another thing to think about is legality issues. Like, if you're publishing something on a collaborative forum that you're planning on publishing later as like a book or something, try to check the rules of the forum, and make sure that you're not inadvertently open sourcing your work, and that someone's not going to be able to take your whatever you're writing and run with it. Like, a good example of that was when Jim Butcher was writing the Codex Alera series. The story behind that was he got to an online argument that culminated in a bet, where some guy had said that all the good ideas are taken. You can't write any more good. You can't write anything good anymore. Everything good's been already done. And Jim Butcher challenged that, and he took not one but two ideas. And he's like, I bet you I can make a feasible story out of this. And he wrote the Codex Alera series. But at the time, he's like, yeah, I got these stories written. And the guy says, we'll publish it. Or on the forum. It was, this would have been early 2000s, so the internet was still kind of in its infancy. They didn't know how the rules of posting stuff online worked. So ultimately, he ended up not publishing it online, and everyone's like, oh, well, you're just talking out of your ear. You lost the bet. Until he actually ended up publishing the series later, and I think 2006-ish. So make sure when you're putting your stuff online, if you are going to publish it later, that it isn't going to screw things up down the road and leave you unable to profit from your work if that's what you're seeking to do.
Yeah. Heike, I wonder if you had any thoughts on things that are maybe something to look out for, or a hurdle to overcome with online collaboration.
I think accountability is one. I like both of the points that you guys made, but depending on whether you know the people or you don't, or you trust them or you don't, but if your only way of communicating is through a forum or a Facebook group or whatever, like that's one of the things. What happens if they don't come back? What happens if they don't respond to you? How do you get their attention, or how do you get in touch with them if that happens? So depending on what you're looking for, right, and what type of community this is, I guess that's one of the things, right? It's easier to just jump into a Facebook group and then jump back out and never look back if you don't like it, and that's valid too, right? But that's one of the things I think to keep in mind. Whereas, if
we've seen that even
if you know where they live, you can call them up and just say, go do this, what you promised to do it. Sorry, David.
No. I was just going to say a writers group of actually people I was in college with, but we've been trying to revive it online and with some success. But it's easier to send a text message saying sorry, I'm busy, rather than not show up at someone's house. Like you said, for us, maybe we're just lazy. I don't know. But, well, we've got a little while left, but I want to leave time for questions, and I really want to talk about specific tools to use. Some things people have mentioned, maybe this thing you've heard of called email. I don't know. We've mentioned that. We've said Slack. We've said Facebook Messenger, whatever they call that now, WhatsApp or whatever it is. Some Facebook group back channels. Shannon mentioned VR. We talked about, I guess in the description of this, we talked about Zoom and obviously Discord. So what have you guys used and found useful? And what if something maybe you had used in the past and now it's been eclipsed by something that does that thing better? Maybe we shouldn't talk trash about the program. Well, who cares? We'll do what we want.
One of my favorite tools is things like Dropbox or OneDrive or anything online where you can share things. So for my translation projects, when I collaborate with somebody, it's really nice to have one place where we can put everything, and we don't have to email it back and forth. And then it's like, did you send me that? I remember that. And it's like, I didn't get it, or it's just, that's one of my favorite things about the collaboration.
So Dropbox or OneDrive or some sort of third party share. Yeah, I definitely use Dropbox a lot. And hopefully that doesn't ever bite me.
Drive or what I use.
What's that?
Dropbox and Google Drive are the two that I use.
Google Drive, yeah.
What about when we're talking more face to face? What have you guys used? What's been your experiences? Did you do things live with a webcam? Are you chatting more? How do you do things, like I said, in that more real time space? Shannon, I don't know. Maybe seems like you do quite a bit of that. Maybe I think that's a fair, from what I understand.
I have one where I used to use Skype.
Mm-hmm.
I now use Zoom.
Yeah,
I use Zoom a lot more.
What happened to Skype? Yeah,
they stopped updating it, and so it started glitching so badly, especially when you had multiple people in the feed. And when you're collaborating with 5 people and half of them freeze in the middle of an in-depth discussion, it's now snack time because you can't get anything else done until everyone's feeds get back. Adobe Connect, I'm also so glad that Adobe Connect is dead, because it was a painful program to use.
I never even heard of that. No, me neither.
Yeah.
Adobe Connect was the video conferencing before Skype.
Oh.
Yeah, you get it. It was painful to use, but it was a technology we badly needed to collaborate over distances. I am really enjoying using VR because it allows you to pick up some of the body language aspects, and it also allows you to pick the meeting space. I've collaborated with some of my I've collaborated with some of our writing groups where we're writing stories based in specific places. We're able to use VR apps such as Wander and have our meeting in the space. We're able to pick what time the photos were taken in that space and have a 360, much more immersive situation. And it allows us to pick up some things like, oh, there is a tree over there that disappeared between this time and this time. Oh, I didn't realize that this city uses this color trash cans. Little details that help.
That's really cool. Yeah.
And being
awesome.
able to riff on each other with that has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So can you tell us more about that? That's I just put on my brother-in-law's, I guess it's an Oculus, I don't know, whatever. And I was like, what? So I've had over 3 minutes of experience with VR. So I know next to nothing, but that sounds fascinating. That's such a cool idea that you're in the place you're writing about. So could you tell us just a little bit more, like, your experience with that? That just seems so interesting.
And also, please, how does it work? Like, how do I get there? How can I get there to the place with the trash cans in different colors?
Tell us the trash cans.
The first thing you need to do is you have to have a VR headset, and different apps are on different types of headsets. The group that I work with, we are in the Oculus realm, simply because they're standalone. And when I'm in VR, I like to wander around in places versus staying stationary. And Oculus allows us to do that with a lot more flexibility. Different apps give you different things. If you want to write about ancient Rome, there's some really good historical reproductions of different places in Rome. So you can jump into those spaces. Some of them allow you to do it collaboratively. Some of them don't. But the collaborative ones, it's fun to get your whole team there and say, okay, what types of things do you see? Wander is the app that I mentioned. On some of the headsets, it's called Wander with Friends. Mm-hmm. Any place that Google has done a street view, you can jump into that street view in the headset. And anytime they've done another street view, you can go back and forth in time utilizing that. It doesn't have 100% coverage. I've ran into places where I want to go there, but it doesn't let me.
Miss that turn, yeah.
But creatively imagining what's around that bend lets you add a little fantasy to your writing. But I can visit my house and have a virtual barbecue. I can hang out with the Great Pyramids of Giza. They are adding the ability to hang out on Mars if that is more your speed. There's a lot of places you can collaborate using VR.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you're collaborating on a book about Mars while you're sitting on Mars. I mean, it's the feel. That's really cool. Let's see. What else? What other tools? And I don't know that we're going to find one cooler than that. But so do you have do other people in the VR have a avatar then? I guess it's not. I mean, how does that work?
You create
back and forth.
You create an avatar of you. You can tell where they're looking. You can tell what their hands are doing. You can tell some aspects of their body language. They are rapidly improving this. Yeah. There are VR where you use camera systems now, and you get to see the entire person interacting in real time with you. And so you get that eye contact. You get the full. That is mainly in the business space for CEOs talking to each other, but I think that's going to be happening for the rest of us sooner than we think.
Wow, that's really interesting. I did not think we were going to go to. I didn't even know that was a thing when we got this panel.
Learning experience for everybody.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, like I said, I do not have as much. I think everything I've used, we've used at Bain, or we've mentioned here. Put it this way: everything we've used at Bain has been mentioned here. I don't really have anything much to add, other than we don't seem to be able to get off the cat talk as much as some of you guys seem like you have. We seem like we
Don't forget Bain's
detour
bar.
into cat talk every meeting that we have at some point. But any other tools, either that you are glad to see gone, or have recently adopted, or that you would recommend to people? And if not, then I guess we've got about 12 more minutes. We'll open it up to questions here in a second. But or anything else that you were hoping we would talk about that I think to bring up?
I mean, I've already talked about I use Messenger mostly. Discord, I have used Zoom. I actually prefer Discord over Zoom. Discord's a lot smoother, works a lot better. And rather than having to type in room codes and all that crap, you just you just send someone to link to your channel and away you go. It's so much easier. I use Discord for work purposes almost as much as I do for play. It's so well-designed system. Good job. The fact that we're holding this whole convention over Discord as opposed to Messenger or as opposed to Zoom or something like that is a testament to Discord.
It's been smooth, I think. This is my first experience with it, and I've been impressed. So, I guess one final thought. I'm going to go this route. I'm going to go the curmudgeon, not curmudgeon. What's the Luddite term? Do you guys have concerns? And I don't want to get political, but I mean, just with the fact that you are now a lot of your creative, if you're doing a lot of as we all collaborate more online, our ability to do so is tied in with third, people outside of ourselves, other corporations, be it Alphabet, right? They own Google. That's the Google. The Google is household, or Facebook, or whatever. And without getting into the partisan politics, I don't think that's. Is there a concern though with? When you download an ebook, you don't own the ebook. You own a license to the ebook. Do you guys have those concerns, or is that just that's something that as more and more people move online, it's not going to be a thing we need to worry about? Do you think? I don't know. That's just a thought I had.
I think it's it kind of goes back to what Shannon was saying when she was talking about anonymity online. The benefit of that is a lot of the issues that you were talking about, David, without getting into it. It allows you to remain more anonymous, whereas my way of doing things, I mean, if people disagree with what I say, or it becomes a problem, they know who I am because I operate pretty openly. I really don't have a separate online persona. So my advice on that end would be to just, when you join a new group or forum that you've never worked with previously, read the room. If you know that saying a certain thing in a forum is going to agitate most of the people in the room, don't say it. There's a time and place for everything. So don't be that guy. Because that's how you get kicked out of groups. That's how your name gets spread around and oh, this guy's a jerk. And it could curtail your online collaborative future. So read the room.
Shannon or Heike, do you guys have any thoughts? And then we'll open up to questions.
So one of the things I think is great about the technology space is that there are a lot of tools. right? And a lot of ways to collaborate and a lot of ways to communicate. And if something doesn't work for you or something doesn't fit your idea of, I don't know, politics or privacy issues or, data security or ease of use, honestly, you just move on to a different tool and you find the one that you're comfortable with. And that works for you and what you need. I think the great thing is, I think that there are other things out there, and there's still more coming, right? I mean, this isn't done. The whole VR thing, Shannon, is I want in. So, that's I can see that getting bigger, and more things are going to come up too, I think. So I'm more hopeful than concerned about this.
And I can't remember the name of the author, but it's an economic essay called iPencil. And it talks about every single person it takes just to build a pencil without an eraser, a simple pencil. I think sometimes we need to be reminded that while new types of technology can be scary, every single piece of technology we use to write, from the paper to the pencil, takes a lot of people to help get us there. Just like it takes a lot of people around us to help give us the ideas to write what we're using that technology to create.
That is a very good point. So, let's see. I think how we do this is I now say we're going to answer some questions. Is that right, producer?
That is in fact correct. So I've got a few for you here.
All right, if we have any, yes.
All right, so Mari Mullen asks, I'm terrified to chat with folks I barely know online because of the whole, getting murdered thing. Do you have any recommendations for vetting strangers?
Okay, I think you said maybe they asked me to repeat the question because your volumes may be low. If anyone didn't hear it, Lauren Muller, I think was the name, something like that, says she's concerned about chatting with getting on with strangers online because of the getting murdered thing. Same reason I like to sell things on Craigslist. But does the panel have any tips for how to vet people online before jumping in?
Choose forums that require the anonymity. If you have a friend on a particular forum and you have no clue what their username is, and they can give honest feedback on that forum, that might be a safe forum for you to start. And just make sure that you're not giving any data away that could put you at risk. You can safely communicate online with people all around the world and get that strength and diversity into your voice without any of the danger.
So there's a term that we use in the military called OPSEC, short for operational security. So kind of like Shannon was saying, when you are in those online forums, even if you don't have a separate persona and you're just operating as yourself, you can protect yourself. Don't immediately just put your whole life story online. Anything that you want to post your credit card number on Facebook, don't do it in this forum type thing. And if you stay into in-person collaboration with the same group of people, I always make it a point. I'll meet people where we both feel comfortable. So we can go meet in a public place, where there's a lot of people. I typically like diners. This is where I've met most of my people. So meet in a public place, and of course, read the room. If someone's trust your instincts. If somebody's giving you creepy vibes, it's probably because that person's creepy. So maybe don't volunteer hey, let's go work on this together at Jim
the
Bob's
park.
house.
Yeah, the park after dark. Heike,
Yeah.
did you have anything to add to that? If not, we got about 5 minutes, and I think there's at least one more question.
Yeah, let's take another question. Let's
Yeah.
take another question.
One more question.
So for our last one, we'll say from Kate Chase. A few of my friends and I are looking to start up a writing group, or writing support group. We're all college juniors who have met through class and belong to the same major. Do you have any tips for young aspiring writers wanting to create online groups? So moving from a physical space to virtual.
Okay, so this is about moving some folks who had known each other in college, and now they're wanting to continue their collaboration as a writers group online. So moving from physical to virtual space. And Heike, I'm going to let you start if you have a thought on that, since you didn't get to answer the last question.
I do. That's actually exactly what happened to my writing group. My in-person writing group, due to COVID, was forced to move online. So the way we do it, we now meet on Zoom once a week, and we do have a shared drive if we need to put any documents there. So just pick a software that you're comfortable with, or that you all have, access to. And, there really isn't, don't worry too much about it.
Do you have a set time, and like it's expected everyone's going to be there every week, or do you move it around to help fit people's schedules?
We usually have a set time, because that's easier to work in. And if somebody has a scheduling conflict, like something specific or something one time, then we can move it. But usually we have a set time, so everybody can just, work around that.
I think we probably have no minutes, or 1 minute. So I think I will just wrap it up there, unless let's just wrap it up there, I think. So thank you all so much for listening in and watching us. And thanks to the panelists for opening some new avenues I had not considered and had not heard of. So I think this was a good panel. I want to thank you all very much.